going back to what they are disrupting, replacing, they are either replacing traditional project management tools or Google Sheet. 90% of these processes were managed on a spreadsheets. So this is a brand new category. They are not necessarily replacing your traditional CRM systems or the ERP systems.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have a very interesting solution, Monday.com. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I am going to start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP, CRM, and digital transformation consulting firm. On that note, Andy, can I ask you to introduce yourself next?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sam, for inviting me. My name is Andy Pratico. I've been involved in ERP software for small to mid-sized manufacturers all my career. I've worked all over North America, probably over 1,000 manufacturers in total. And I have a published book and I put on webinars. I'm doing one for the ASCM actually coming up on October 2nd, teaching people how to uncover the truth about ERP software before they buy. So hopefully I can add some advice or a little bit of a few nuggets that'll help a few folks out there.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Andrea. Shasta, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrestha Das, and I'm part of the marketing team at Elevate IQ. And I'm super excited to be here today.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, guys. And if you're in the audience joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your questions, comments. We generally utilize them as part of our reviews. So always looking forward to your stories and experiences. On that note, guys, I'm going to start with the quick briefing of Monday.com. I know that it's super hot, so I'm pretty sure you guys may have heard about it. And it sort of, falls in between categories, I would say. Yes, it is used as the CRM solution. I know that we have been reviewing a lot of different CRM solutions lately, but then this is also going to be primarily the project management.
Yeah, I was going to say it's really claim to fame as project management, right?
Yeah, it's project management, but it's different project management. So that's what we are going to talk about. Okay.
Sure.
So for the most part, the traditional project management software, the way they were designed for slightly more standardized processes. And depending upon how you define what is standardized and what is not standardized, for the most part, when you look at ERP-like processes, meaning you have to have very, 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 very rigid, regimented processes, meaning you need to know what you are doing before you can implement any sort of ERP, CRM systems. Even project management systems were very rigid, meaning you had very fixed structure for the project management tools, the way they worked. But then now the new breed of project management software, they are slightly more unstructured. The way they work, they are, fairly, I would say, collaborative overall, the way they work and the way their data model design is. So it's a different breed altogether. Now, the kind of tools that they are replacing, I would say they are replacing number one, Google Sheet. For the most part, the use cases that they are trying to replace at this point of time, most of them were very, 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 very spreadsheet based in the industries where they are trying to replace, or I would say the traditional project management tools. Now, in this category, there are many different software systems that are there they are attacking very similar use cases. So number one is going to be the category called workflow automation. And workflow automation is a very interesting category as well. In general, the way workflow automation category works is, for the most part, their claim is that they are trying to automate the processes around ERP. So they are not necessarily replacing ERP, but any of the processes that are going to be slightly more heterogeneous in nature. And when I say heterogeneous, meaning combining many different touch points, sometimes external access, many different systems. Sometimes they are going to have user workflows. Before the technologies were called, I would say, BPM. I don't know if BPM is a term known in the community or not, or it just died, or got killed, or whatever happened to that.
Did you say VPN or what did you say?
BPM. It's not.
BPM.
Yeah,
Okay.
BPM is going to be business process. What is that? Management or something like that.
Yeah, BPR, BPM. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, BPR is more of the process, I would say. It's not necessarily a tool, but
No, you're right. It's more. It's the actual re-engineering of the processes to streamline.
Right. So that's BPR. BPR is a
Right.
practice, but BPM was a real tool, meaning it was a real software
I see. Okay.
that you could purchase. You need to pay licenses, and you need to manage your business processes in that. So technically, I mean, I don't know if anybody is thinking about BPM or BPM category exist anymore. The legacy ones, they are probably going to be gone. I don't know how relevant that is. So for the most part, when you look at the larger category of workflow automation software, and that is going to be the likes of your ServiceNow that they are replacing. But if you look at Monday.com, a lot of the use cases that they are replacing are going to be very similar to workflow automation as well. These tools are not as capable. They are designed for, there used to be a term called citizen developer. In this particular case, you don't even need to develop, I guess. So they are sort of attacking that whole low code, no code wave. But again, they are very simplified. The data model is very simplified. The purpose of them is not necessarily to replace your transactional system. They are going to work alongside your transactional system. So again, the kind of tools that they are replacing are either going to be project management tools. The reason why they are able to replace those is because in those cases, they don't necessarily require that structured data model, which is what is missing from these tools, and which is what makes them easier to use, easier to adopt, easier to implement. But again, that is going to be applicable only in slightly more collaborative use cases, and that's what makes them slightly more adaptable when you are not going to know the kind of processes that you need to implement. Some more comments here, unless you guys have any other comments. So again, the whole idea is very, very, very fluid structure. And for the most part, the origination of these tools may have come from, and Andy Srestha, I don't know whether you guys know Trello. Trello was a very, very, very popular
Construction.
Kanban. It's not construction. It was a very, very, very simplified version of project management, I would say.
Oh, I thought it was really for construction project.
No, not Trello, not Trello. That
No?
I think you are talking about a different one, different
Maybe.
tool. Yeah. So Trello is a very, very, very vanilla, basic, project management, task management tool. It was very popular in the world of marketing, and in general, the marketing is the first team. They are very innovative in general, the way they think, and they are going to be the first ones that are going to implement these tools. And Monday.com, if you look at their adoption is also going to be among either marketing teams or PMO, project management teams. They are the ones that are really adopting this. Again, before this, they had Google Sheets is what they were using. Google Sheets plus Trello. So now Monday.com is giving them both. That is going to give them Google Sheets plus Trello. And in Google Sheets, they also had the forms for the data intake. So data intake is going to be, let's say if you're working with many different customers, many different vendors, and you have to get some sort of data before you either analyze, send it over to other systems. And again, these are not going to be formalized processes. These are going to be slightly more informal processes. You are taking this data for, I don't know, maybe you have some sort of R&D process. Now, R&D process may not be part of your operational system, transactional system, ERP system. So how do you gather data for your product management, research, R&D centric processes? In some cases, you might need to have formalized R&D processes as well, because that touches your dollars, finance. Sometimes you need to cut PO as well, for your R&D processes. But in a lot of cases, you don't need to do that, especially if you look at the inventory less organizations or asset less organizations in general. In those, you don't have as much dollar implications, so they don't necessarily require as much financial control. They are going to require a lot more operational control, collaboration with the customers. For example, Andy, if you look at I don't know, maybe marketing agencies, technology firms. You look at construction, could be all over the place. Some of the construction firms
Human
are,
management, right?
well, it's human, but external humans, I would say. It's not just your employees, right? It's also freelancers. It's
I see,
volunteers.
contractors, etc.
Yeah. And sometimes they might be working for free, so you don't necessarily touch the operational financial processes, and that's why they are uniquely different. Some of the not-for-profit public sector, they are going to have very, very, very unique needs as well, on some of these projects. And a lot of the internal projects that you're going to have inside the organization, they are never going to have very rigid structure for them to go through ERP. So all ERP, CRM, all of these tools had very limited scope in the organization, even though everybody uses sort of the vanilla blanket term that ERP is everything. But ERP could cover only the core transactions, core operational processes. Everything else that happens in marketing, HR, legal department, all of that was always sort of spreadsheet, because that was not the bulk of the operations. So nobody really approved or put them inside the ERP. Even if they put them inside the ERP, nobody was going to use them anyways. So that's where the real crux is of whatever they are trying to do. And that's why it is so popular, because it's so fluid that you can accommodate any processes in any form. You don't necessarily require a lot of consulting help to be able to implement these tools, and that's why they are super popular. So again, overall, from the concept perspective, what they are trying to do is they have the spreadsheets, and these are really connected spreadsheet is probably the best way to put it. So each of the boards that you are going to have inside your Monday.com Smartsheet Airtable, these are your spreadsheet. Now, generally, when you look at the Google Sheet or a spreadsheet, the only thing Google Sheet brought in compared to Microsoft was the collaboration aspect. Or it also had the forms, where forms could connect one-to-one with your spreadsheet, but that's it. Okay, it didn't have more than that. So Monday.com Smartsheet as well as your Airtable, they are going one level up, where what they are trying to do is, number one, they are trying to connect these spreadsheets. And again, these spreadsheets are not necessarily connected through a data model, which would make it a very, very, very rigid structure. So this is sort of the loose connectivity, I would say. So they are able to do kind of the reporting. They are able to do cell-to-cell communication sometimes. They have a little workflow, but those workflows could get very messy as well. So again, these are designed for very ad hoc processes. They are going to have very different perspectives. For example, the same data you can represent in the form of a sheet or a Kanban board. And again, these are the perspectives that were very familiar to marketing teams, because they always wanted these 2 or 3 different perspectives, from the project management perspective, also from the CRM perspective. So that's where their play is, and that's what they are trying to replace. Now, again, going back to what they are disrupting, replacing, they are either replacing traditional project management tools, or they are replacing Google Sheet. 90% of these processes were managed on a spreadsheets. So this is a brand new category. They are not necessarily replacing your traditional CRM systems or the ERP systems. They are not designed for that. If you're trying to create CRM systems or ERP systems inside these tools, you will have implications. They are not designed for that. So again, this is a brand new category that is going to sit around your ERP CRM, just because the need was there. That's why they are super popular.
Now, would you call Monday.com an ERP system?
No.
No, okay.
Not even close.
I just see it on so many ERP comparison sheets as one of the ones that they compare, and I always think that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is not meant to be an ERP system. If somebody is calling them an ERP system, they just don't know what they are doing. It might be okay to, I would say, manage some of these processes when you are going to be, let's say, 100K revenue company. But if you are going to have even $1 million revenue, then that could be a lot to manage. Again, the intent is not necessarily um, to create an ERP inside them. The intent is when you don't know how your processes are going to be and you are looking for more of the stopgap solution, I would say, or if those processes are completely stopgap, meaning they are not part of your core operations, you don't need to standardize them, you don't need to formalize them, and that is going to be overall from the balance sheet or financial statements perspective, you have the core operations and then you have the ad hoc activities that you perform on the financial statement. So these are going to be any of the ad hoc activities that you are performing because of whatever reason. It could be a compliance that you need to follow, because this is a very temporary compliance and you need to create a project around that. That could be a great candidate for a tool like this. Again, temporary is probably the keyword overall in terms of what you should be managing inside this. So overall, I guess competing technologies, yes, they are attacking a lot of different CRM use cases. In general, even the CRM data model was very weak to be able to cover all of the transactional use cases, and we have spoken about that. For example, let's say if you look at HubSpot, Salesforce, even HubSpot and Salesforce, they fall short for the real transactional CRM use cases. So how is Monday.com going to do it when they are real schemaless non-structured data model? So again, their intent is not necessarily to create that operational CRM or operational ERP. Their intent is going to be to do more of the collaboration, adaptive project management is probably the right keyword to define them. So Salesforce, HubSpot is probably going to be their slightly better competitor, I would say, because they are able to attack a lot of different use cases that HubSpot is able to do as well. That is going to be more from the collaboration perspective. But again, the intent of HubSpot is very, very, very different. You don't want to be managing your campaigns inside Monday.com. That'll be a terrible idea. Don't do that. Creatio is a no-code, low-code tool. I would say that is probably going to be slightly better competitor for Monday.com because this is Creatio is a very, very, very technical model. It's going to have probably richer technical model where you can build the real operational processes. In Monday.com, you cannot do that just because of the data model is poor. In Creatio, you can build a real CRM system, but if you have to do that, then you are looking at a lot of consulting dollars to be able to do that. So this is a real no-code, low-code platform where all of those IT bells and whistles that you are going to be needing to be able to implement any sort of platform. But again, Monday.com does not have all of that, even though they are going to be closer competitor overall in terms of the use cases that they are trying to attack. Zoho is probably going to be the closest competitor. Okay, but Zoho does not have the same fluidity, even though we have commented about their data model as well, that how poor their data model is. In general, when you are looking at the global traceability, global consolidation, Zoho would not be able to do that, but Zoho's data model is slightly more rigid. So again, when you are going to have slightly more standardized, formalized, processes, that's where your Zoho is going to be handy. And Zoho does have a creator module on top of that, which is going to have very similar intent as your Monday.com to be able to create those ad hoc workflows. They can create custom apps as well. But again, you are looking at some consulting help. It's not going to be as easy as Monday.com because Monday.com is really designed for very, very, very easy workflows managed by business. That's why it is super popular. Then you have the other project management tools, and again, Jira's of the world. Jira is probably the biggest competitor for Monday.com. Jira is the one that is being replaced. In general, Jira was mainly used by development organization. It was positioned to be one of the simplest project management tool. I don't know, maybe 10 years back now. Now this has become legacy, which was the coolest child, I would say. So Jira is the one that is being replaced, by Monday.com. Asana was also very popular, but again, that has slightly more rigid structure compared to what Monday.com is going to have. The intent of both of them is going to be different. When you are looking at slightly more formalized, standardized project management, when you have slightly more rigid structure, when you are looking for control in your project management process, then you want to go for slightly more formalized project management tool. But when you are looking for slightly more flexible, but then when you are going to have flexible, you are not going to have control. Then you need to incorporate controls manually. So that is probably going to be a con. So that's where your Monday.com is probably going to be affected. Trello is probably the closest competitor as well. Trello was really the task management tool. It wasn't as capable as the real project management, but companies are definitely replacing Trello because whatever Trello could do, Monday.com can do and is much better. So it's definitely, and right now, if you look at the ownership, Jira and Trello, they are owned by the same company. So Atlassian is the company that is being disrupted here with the likes of Monday.com, Smartsheet, as well as your, what is the third one? The Airtable. Three different tools with the very similar intent. MS Project, I don't know how many companies use that now. So MS Project is another one that is being really disrupted because they are not going to have all the bells and whistles that your Monday.coms of the world. So MS Project is probably the biggest competitor, I would say. These processes were really managed by within MS Project. So now the PMO organizations who were very heavy on MS Project, they are probably using this. The Power Apps are not going to be as fluid as Monday.com. That's why companies don't like Power Apps as much. It will still require consulting help, even though it is positioned to be one of the easiest. But that's where companies are replacing this with Monday.com. The real competitors, I would say, are probably going to be Smartsheet. They are very close, very similar. Airtable with slightly different functionality capabilities, but these three are the closest competitor. And then ClickUp is going to be another platform which is sort of in between. It's kind of, it's not necessarily as fluid as Monday.com, Smartsheet, Airtable. It's going to have some structure. It's also going to have the document workflow. I think Monday.com introduced document workflow. Smartsheet may not have document workflow. So now you can build use cases such as your contract lifecycle management that were very common in the legal team when you have to collaborate on document as well. So in general, that collaboration was happening inside Google Docs, but now ClickUp is actually going to provide much better capabilities where you can have the external parties collaborating on those documents on sheets. So you are going to feel as if you are part of the same team. And their pricing structure, etc., is really designed for collaboration. That's also one of the best part about these tools. So they are probably going to be, all of three are going to be the closest competitors, I would say, of Monday.com. And then you have the workflow automation category, which we have already discussed, which is going to be your MS Power Platform. ServiceNow, BoomyFlow, and Rapid is probably not as well known, but they are probably going to be known in maybe Microsoft and 4 ecosystem, slightly smaller presence, I would say, of Rapid, but the intent is very similar. The industries where you are going to see this, are going to be slightly more service-centric industries, not-for-profit, public sector, real estate, financial services, banks. That's where you had the biggest pain overall in terms of how they were managing their operations. Their operations were never as formalized as your product companies. So those are the companies that are seeing the major adoption of Monday.com. I'll keep moving unless you guys have any comments. By the way, Monday.com is a public company, so we have a lot more data available, from their financial statements, and it's just mind blowing that it's been like maybe 10 years right now for Monday.com, and they are already $1 billion ARR. Can you believe this? 1 billion with a B. Okay, and I would say that even the top 10 ERP companies don't have 1 billion, ARR. So that's how much these guys are able to make. Obviously, who's paying? You are paying them. So look at the SaaS spend that you're spending on a daily basis. Obviously, these are the companies that are making real money, and that's why private equity is pouring money in these companies. So here, some of the comments coming from their financial statements. So I'm going to read those. So Monday.com is a platform that runs the core of all work. They are defining it as work, but as Andy said, this is probably going to be the project management category, not necessarily work. Work could be the software development as well. Yes, it is majorly used by software development too. Previously they were using Jira. Now they are using something like Monday.com. So organizations can easily build software applications and work management tools. Software, they are calling software applications. And again, these are very tiny, small apps, for tracking, etc. They are not meant to be your transactional applications. We call our platform a work OS, work operating system, and pioneering a new category of software. They are saying a new category as well that will change the way people work and businesses operate, giving them one place to manage every part of their work, which is true as well. The reason why they have become super hot, at least in the last 5 years. Number one, the collaboration has increased tremendously, I would say. In general, now the customers are willing to collaborate with you as well. The way the teams are structured, customers want to look at pretty much everything. How you are doing, and especially if you're going to be slightly more contract-centric organization or service-centric organization, in general, you are going to have a lot more collaboration with customers. But then you need to have the same collaboration with vendors as well. So there are some tools in the market that are really known for the vendor collaboration, and that's what we have reviewed as part of our supply chain suite. There's a ton of collaboration happening at the industry level. So in general, collaboration is happening a lot. And then the whole idea of the adaptability, because number one, because of COVID, a lot of processes were changed across the organization. From the compliance perspective, the governments are becoming very aggressive in putting all of these compliance workflows, and companies need tools to manage that. So again, this is a very new change overall in terms of the work environment, and that's why we are seeing all of these categories pop up, and that's why they have become so hot now. And that the traditional project management tools, they are probably not going to be sufficient for these use cases. So I completely agree with their assessment that this is going to be a new category. And then they are talking about that are one simple enough for anyone to use, yet powerful enough to drive core business within any organization. I would say that is slightly overstated. This is not core business. This is supposed to be ad hoc business processes. That is not supposed to be core. So if anything, this is probably non-core, not core.
Size of companies are purchasing Monday?
All over the place, I would say.
Really, top to bottom.
This is done at the department level. So the procurement cycle is super easy. It is procured by HR. It is procured by PMO organization. PMO organization was always very siloed. Marketing organization was very siloed. HR department in general, they were not sort of part of the core operations to begin with. Recruiting, who cares about recruiting? That's going to be that's not going to be part of the core operation unless you are a staffing organization. Then your operations are defined by recruiting, right? So again, these are very non-core business processes, ad hoc business processes, and that's what they are trying to automate. So they are claiming that they are powerful enough to drive core business processes. That's not the intent of this tool. The intent is very different. The intent is going to be for the ad hoc processes, that you cannot define, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. But yes, it is simple enough, but not designed for the transactional integrity, financial control, process control. It's not designed for that. So just keep that in mind. It's designed for fluidity. So you get one thing, either you will get control or you get flexibility. So your choice, what you want to get. Now, what else do I want to touch at here? So this is going to be a very disconnected state. You're still going to have, the same number of data silos that you are probably going to find in your spreadsheet world. The only difference here is going to be that each of those spreadsheets you can report as well. You can sort of connect. So it's almost like you have the pivot table where you can connect this with many, many, many different spreadsheets. So the reporting is going to be much easier because they have that layer built up. But even though underlying data is still very disconnected in general, and that's why you are not going to have the transactional integrity, if you need that for your core processes. And that's why ERP systems and CRM systems, the formalized systems are very, very, very different. So again, intent is very different. Both of them have a need in the architecture. Depending upon the use case, you should be using the right tools. I'll keep going here. Okay. So some of the milestones that they have positioned. So obviously they started in 2014, and initially they started as more of the BI system. And if you look at now BI systems have evolved as well. Traditionally, BI tools were primarily visualization tool, but now if you look at the BI tools, they have their own sort of data source. They can do a lot more overall from the capabilities perspective. So this is a BI tool, but it's a slightly different BI tool. It's almost going to be collection of your ad hoc processes, and on that you are sort of reporting. So it's not necessarily BI. Again, only for the ad hoc processes. If you need to report, that's when this is probably going to be useful. And when you have to take ad hoc data from many different parties, for example, let's say if you're doing any sort of surveys, and that survey is not going to have as meaningful output that you need to incorporate as part of your core operations. Maybe you are performing some sort of study for those processes. This could be a great fit. So Initially, they didn't target the CRM category. It is new because now they are feeling that they can probably penetrate CRM category because CRM category was not as connected in general from the data model perspective. So it's much easier for them to be able to penetrate those CRM verticals. So a lot of companies are using this as a CRM, but then you are going to put a lot of effort in general to be able to develop what CRM tools are already going to have. So if you are using this in conjunction with other CRMs, then this could be a great play, but don't try to create Salesforce or HubSpot inside Monday.com. That's not the intent. They have also introduced their MondayDB, and then they are going to introduce their AI as well. So this is very interesting. Everybody is incorporating some sort of AI. So again, for ad hoc processes, they are going to be needing these capabilities. Again, very interesting.
Each of these are different products, are they?
They are not different product. This is the evolution. So the
I
way
see. Okay, gotcha.
the way it has evolved, yeah, they have many different suites, as part of their buckets as well. But again, primarily project management. So here they are saying WorkOS is our vision for democratizing the power of software. The Monday.com WorkOS platform allows users, teams, and organizations to create their own software applications and work management tools to suit their specific and ever-growing needs and scale. So again, yes, it is it is designed for slightly more specific ad hoc use cases. Ever growing is probably the right term because that sort of lines up with your adaptive centric processes. But again, the goal here is not necessarily to formalize. It is meant to be more of the stopgap solution. I don't have anything else on this one. I'll keep going here. So here, some more comments coming from their financial statements. They are saying, using data from IDC, we estimate that our total addressable market was $101 billion in 2023 and will grow to $150 billion in 2026, which is interesting. I don't know if companies are going to spend this kind of money because obviously they are spending a lot right now on these tools. So obviously there's going to be some scrutiny one of these days, depending upon how much money these guys are charging and how much they are spending. They have already started scrutiny for tools such as Salesforce.com. So companies are definitely going to come back because they are paying a lot. Now, how much value are they getting is questionable, obviously. If you are trying to create CRM, ERP inside money.com, it might not be worth it. So here they are saying project and portfolio management, roughly what, $6 billion in revenue, which is probably accurate, I would say. So the tools that are going to be disrupted here are probably going to be your Jira's, Asanas of the world. They are the ones who are going to be probably defaced unless they come up with very similar model. But they are the ones who are being challenged here. Any of the collaborative applications, so they are saying $39 billion, which might be true as well. Collaboration is a very, very, very new ball game, I would say. But there are a lot of companies that are competing for the whole collaboration aspect. Yeah, how big this is going to get is going to be a question. Collaboration is all about CX. It's about customer experience. So this is a new category, new market, and it could be 39, it could be 139. So that could be believable. The companies are really investing in this, and the more companies are going to invest, their competitors are probably going to, catch up to them as well, because this does matter. CRM application, I would doubt. So they are saying $30 billion, and that's probably the whole Salesforce market share. Monday.com is not going to be able to replace that. I promise. There's no way in the hell that's happening. Okay, DevOps software tools, there's a possibility that they might be able to replace, but depending upon how much is being used by DevOps and IT and whether they are going to like this or not. In general, they liked, things such as your Jira, etc., because that had far tighter integration with GitHub. A lot of technical tools that developers need, and that's why they really like Jira. So I don't know if they are going to replace Jira because that was very, very well adopted. There were other competitors of Jira as well, so I don't know if they are all going to be replaced. And then you have the operations and request management applications. So these are your traditional BMC remedies of the world, I guess. And I don't know whether you guys know this or not. So this is going to be slightly more ServiceNow market that they are targeting. So these are all very legacy applications. IBM owned this, BMC owned this. Who else was there in the IT service centric market? Which other vendors were there? All of the CX vendors that we have reviewed as part of Zendesk are probably going to be in this market as well. So again, these are very legacy applications that are being replaced. It's not the CRM or ERP market that is being disrupted here. They are talking about our schema-less database infrastructure is completely flexible, allowing users to easily define the way they capture and present data. So yes, that is true. But again, when you have flexibility, you are not going to have consolidation. So you get one thing. So from the finance perspective, from the financial consolidation perspective, you need to consolidate your processes to be able to grow. If you don't consolidate, you are going to have issues, financial issues. Okay, so that is a financial argument. Here, this is great. This is giving freedom to your team so that they can manage their processes the way they want. But then you are creating a lot of admin effort because you are creating a lot of data silos. So keep that in mind. This is good for ad hoc processes, not necessarily designed for your core operational processes. Great. I'll keep going here. So here they are talking about by consolidating many software tools into one cross-departmental platform, we enable our customers to increase their organizational agility and speed and efficiency. Again, please keep this in mind. Even though they are using very similar terms, but it means very different. So for example, let's say if you're looking at this more from the platform perspective, that initially you had many different tools. Some teams were using maybe Google Sheets. Some teams were using a smart sheet. Some teams were using maybe Jira. Some were using Asana. So now you have one platform that can accommodate a lot of that. But again, the intent is not to create the cross-functional, tightly embedded workflows the way you are going to have inside ERP or CRM systems. That's not the intent. So a lot of these tools are using very similar language to describe them, to define them, but the intent is very different. So here, some comments here. So who's being disrupted? Really, the traditional project management tools, and in general, the PMO organization. If you look at the way organizations were structured, PMO was sort of the COE. It was a very different organization in general that didn't sort of touch the core operations. It was meant to be very siloed because the projects were very ad hoc. They were not part of your core offerings. So again, the intent is very different. This is going to be part of your PMO organizations. So if they're looking for that cross-departmental PMO control, then this could be a great fit. Here they are talking about companies that primarily offer project and work management solutions, including the application of processes, methods, skills, and knowledge to achieve specific objectives. This includes companies such as, and they are comparing them with, companies such as Asana, Smartsheet, Notion Labs. Notion Labs, I think Notion is another platform. So there's one more that we did not include as part of the comparison. So Notion is another project management tool which is designed for collaboration. They are claiming that they are sort of disrupted in the market. So Notion, ClickUp, they are fairly similar. So Notion Labs, Atlassian is the one that has Jira as well as your Trello. They own those two, ClickUp and Freshworks. I don't know if Freshworks they have some tools, but they are primarily the accounting software company. I don't know how much they have at this point of time overall from the project management perspective, but they are comparing it with them. Some more comments here. So they have included some more competitors, and these are the CRM competitors, and they are talking about Sugar CRM, Pipedrive. Pipedrive is a very small CRM. You can go back and check a review about them as well, and they are doing a lot of crazy things as well. Again, this is not meant to be replacement for Pipedrive. Pipedrive is an amazing solution. They are doing really cool things in the CRM world. So again, they are not meant to be replacement for Pipedrive. And then Zoho Corp is probably going to be much bigger competitor, but again, they are not meant to be the replacement for Zoho either. And here, Jira is probably the biggest competitor for them in general. That's what we have been talking about. Did I miss anything else on this one? Yeah, I think one comment that I wanted to touch is going to be the comparison between this and Microsoft Power Platform. Anybody who's a big fan of Microsoft, they all are going to say how amazing Microsoft Power Platform is. The biggest difference between these tools and Microsoft Power Platform is going to be the over-bloated security architecture. The reason why marketing agencies, companies love Google Suite, two things. Number one, the security was so easy that you can invite any external parties. You can collaborate with them very easily because the architecture was very new. It was designed with the fresh mindset, of the web application. When what Microsoft was trying to do is Microsoft was trying to please two different modes, and those are extremely challenging overall from the technology alignment perspective. One was on-prem and one was desktop. That's why Microsoft Suite was never as capable as Google, even though a lot of companies now they use Microsoft. It's okay, it's not the best, at least from the collaboration perspective. But Google really changed that, and that is exactly what these companies are trying to bring that as well. The whole security aspect is not going to be as bloated. Microsoft is a far more difficult security because if you want to invite external party, you need to probably include as part of the group. Then I don't know what all you need to do to be able to invite them, and you probably need to call your IT. It's a nightmare. Uh, and then you are probably paying, for the licensing as well. There might be some hacks that you might be able to do. But again, Microsoft was never designed for collaboration, and their security architecture is very same regardless of the application that you are going to use. So even though Power Platform is great, again, it's not going to be as capable as your Monday.com smart sheet, as easy as these guys, and that's why these guys are super, super, super hot. Okay, some more comments here. This is coming from Gartner, and Gartner, regardless of how much people want to complain about Gartner, IDC organization, but they do a wonderful job in most 90% of the cases. Okay, so here what they have done is Gartner has created a new category. Okay, and they have captured these as part of the adaptive project management and reporting, which is the right category. It is the right description. This is how this should be positioned. Okay, this is the new category. They had to create a new quadrant because Monday.com, Smartsheet, ClickUp, Notion, all of them did not fit in the existing category. They are creating a new market. They are creating a new category. So this is a brand new category. None of the other software systems are going to fit in this. So again, it's called adaptive project management. This is the new need that is coming because the habits are evolving, needs are evolving, and that's why this is the new category. Then you have one more category here. So they have been recognized as, they are talking about collaborative work management, and collaboration wasn't happening pre-2020. Okay, this is brand new. Yes, there were a lot of configurators, a lot of different softwares, portals is another one that is probably being replaced by these technologies. No more IBMs of the world who are doing these clunky portal management. So I would say probably portal is going to be another category that is being replaced. I mean, the portals were never good, and for the most part, I guess a lot of B2B commerce players are going to be disrupted with this category as well, where you have the collaborative work management. And again, this is also the right description for this category. So collaborative work management, adaptive project management, and reporting is probably the right definition of those. And Gartner has done a wonderful job in defining them. Okay, some more comments here. So these are the case studies. So this case study is coming from the leading property advisors. So real estate company, real estate is a great fit. Real estate, as the industry always struggled with your traditional CRMs, Salesforce, HubSpot, they never worked for them because the processes were so fluid. CRMs were good for very plain vanilla sales process. If you require fluidity, yes, you can probably get them using Salesforce, Microsoft, but you are looking at very, very, very high consulting dollars. And that's where the real play is for these tools for those industries, because they never had very formalized processes in general, even across departments. So that's why for these companies, this is a great fit, and it's being used by these companies a lot. Here they are talking about, this company has more than 40,000 professionals serving 70 countries. But guys, I'll tell you one thing, okay? So when you look at these case studies, don't go by the number of employees, because the procurement is happening at the department level. So just because an enterprise company may have bought just for one department, that does not mean that the entire company is running on Monday.com. So read carefully when you are reviewing these case studies. But again, this is going to be a great fit. So here they are talking about several different UK marketing teams were emerging, all working on different sectors with no big picture guidance to keep the brand aligned. Okay, and if you look at the marketing department of 2024 is very different from 2014. In 2014, you didn't have the concepts such as your demand generation, demand sensing, podcast. You didn't have that video production. Now every company is doing all of that because they want to drive the leads and marketing. So the marketing function is becoming thicker and thicker, and that's why they need all of this to be able to track marketing spend. Even today, tracking marketing spend is very challenging in general. And that's where these guys are able to use that for collaboration among marketing teams. Marketing was never part of ERP ever. In no industry I've ever seen that marketing is going to be part of ERP. ERPs were not designed for marketing teams. For the most part, they were running on Google Sheets. So now they are able to manage their workflows, in far superior manner, and they are able to collaborate as well. Messaging appeared inconsistent, and again, these some of the categories were there in the market. For example, let's say if you look at DAM, which is going to be your digital asset management, the whole collaboration workflow, the calendar management, phone marketing was managed inside these tools, but they were very rigid, very fixed, so they didn't work. So those are the categories that are being replaced here, even though my commerce friends are going to argue that even DAM has become very cool. I would say, I mean, there are a lot of different DAM tools out there, but I think Monday.com is going to replace all of those workflows. Because they are really easy for those workflows. Here they are saying the ultimate goal was to deliver return on investment for our marketing spend. And again, tracking marketing spend even today for most companies is very, 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 very hard.
It's nearly impossible.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, CFOs, the way they track is they are going to track in some sort of FP&A tool, CPM tool, but they don't necessarily understand what's happening with your marketing, whether your campaigns are
There's so
working.
much intangibles with marketing,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Whereas accountant needs to be tangible, and they'll end up they commonly will end up justifying that benefit from something that they've measured somewhere else.
It's tricky. It's never easy, and then you need to pivot a lot. You need to be really agile with mindset and marketing because things are changing every minute. So you can never have formalized processes, and for those use cases, this is a great fit.
Absolutely.
Okay. So here we have one more company, and this is the golf, events company. And again, this is a very unique operation. This is probably not for profit, and not for profit. Two not for profits are never going to be seen. Not for profits is one of the most complex industry in general in terms of their processes, and traditional CRM systems always struggled with not for profit, and that's where Monday.com is a great fit. For ad hoc use cases, they are not going to be good for every single use case out there, but for ad hoc use cases, they could be a great fit. So here they are talking about while they fund their professional golf careers while helping not non-profits raise money. So that's the intent of this company, what they are trying to do. They now have 25 full-time employees and a roster of more than 200 female pro golfers who are involved in more than 3,500 events a year. And Andy, I don't know whether you recall this or not, or Shrestha, when we were reviewing Zoho or Microsoft, those are the only two companies that had really good event management functionality. And even event management functionality gets very deep when you have to manage professional events. You need to manage the calendar, you need to manage vendors, you need to manage a sponsorship, you need to make sure that everybody is going to arrive timely, you need to make sure everybody is going to start things timely. Now that's a lot of process that you need to manage, and for the most part all of these processes were managed manually, and now you have something here. You need to collaborate a lot as well, and here you are going to have many different personas, and for the most part those personas were never part of the standardized system. So here you have pro golfers, and which are sort of the, I don't know how you would define them. They are not your customers, they are not your vendors, so who are they? They are some sort of participants. They are impacting your process, but that's a very ad hoc process, in general. So these are the use cases where this is going to be really good fit. They are talking about, they looked at CRMs that were built around other types of similar businesses like construction, and construction is going to have very formalized, standardized process if it is going to be plain vanilla construction. But now construction companies have also become sort of the marketing organizations, depending upon the kind of product they might be building, right? So some construction businesses might require very formalized construction tools, but some might require slightly more marketing centric tools. So here they looked at this, they tried to define this as the job site contractors. That was never going to work, and it didn't work for them because they were very unique. So that's why they really like this. They are talking about finding was a system that backswings 200 plus freelance golfers, and this is going to be the same workflow that you are going to have for volunteers as well in the not-for-profit world, because they are sort of impacting your processes, access without exorbitant fee. And one of the key advantages that you're going to have with the likes of Monday.com is that they don't charge for the access, for these external parties. So you are not necessarily paying for the collaboration. In the traditional days, you would have portals, you would develop portals to be able to provide this kind of access. Obviously, that was very expensive. So now that is the problem that these companies are able to solve. So they are able to provide the access for 200 golfers, even though number of users might be 5, 6, 10. That's the real licensing that you might be paying. So they are able to help with that with very simplified security. You don't have to go through Microsoft hoops to be able to enable this access, and definitely don't need to go through IT to be able to do that. Unlimited guest users at no extra cost, and that's a huge plus for all of these tools. They all have free access because they are designed for collaboration. They are trying to promote that. That might change any minute.
Yeah, you know it well.
Exactly. Right now, this is a free tea, but it's going to be paid soon. Okay. I think I don't have anything else here. What's the time right now? So we have 7 minutes. We'll go for a couple more, unless you guys have any other comments here.
Do you have any customer comments or no?
No, we don't have any comments right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is another case study. So here they are saying marketing planning team put together a content production process for all teams. And again, this was the process that was managed by slightly more formalized tools. For example, your DAM, which is going to be your digital asset management. Now, those are the ones that are being disrupted because you can easily manage these using your Notion, using your Monday.com Smartsheet Airtable, as well as your ClickUp. Those are the categories that are really hot right now. The production board showcases all the initiatives occurring each month so that everyone knows what they need to produce and when. Thanks to automated notification and dependencies, then they are saying the content production board is connected to the master content calendar, so they are able to manage the calendar as well. That's a big deal. Overall from the operational management perspective, and that's where these guys are really good at. Any changes in the content calendar? And again, this was all managed by Google Sheets because Google Sheets was, so Google is the one that is being impacted the most, I would say. Yes, they are going to use the Google Suite as well, but they are definitely being disrupted here. A product does not go live on time. There is a delay with a third party, so they are able to manage all of those use cases. One of TTG's largest annual campaign is London Theatre Week. And again, these are very event-centric capabilities, and they were all managed by either manually or on a whiteboard or a spreadsheet. So now they are the ones who are able to use these systems, during which discounted tickets were available to 40 plus top shows on West End and beyond. And they are talking about with as many shows and sell as many tickets as possible to further their mission in finding a seat for everyone. So don't try to create commerce system in this. That's not the intent of the system. Okay. Don't try to sell your tickets on this. Again, that's not intent. For that, you probably would require a slightly more commerce system. Here, what you might be able to do is maybe able to manage those ad hoc workflows related to any of the processes that you're not able to manage in your core systems. So again, here, if you look at what is it replacing, it's a whiteboard that they were able to manage. They were managing. That is what is being replaced right now. Okay. I don't have anything else on this one. We can go probably for one more, and then we'll wrap for the comments. So here, this is the music, streaming service. And again, if you pay attention to the industries, these are also the industries where ServiceNow is penetrating in the larger segment. That's where you needed a lot of IT because these companies were all very custom development shops in general. Okay, so now they have the enterprise software that they are able to use. So what is being killed? It's going to be the custom development of the internal IT. So that's what is happening here. It's not the other enterprise applications that we have in the market. So Deezer is a leading music streaming service operating in more than 180 countries worldwide. The company offers listeners 56 million songs and podcasts, as well as radio stations. So obviously these companies are very disconnected, fragmented, manual in nature. So they are the ones who are getting the most benefit out of these tools. We are talking about has benefited from a transition to Monday.com is Deezer CRM, and they are calling the CRM, but the intent is very different. This is not the core CRM workflow. Here, if you look at, you pay attention to the workflow, they are talking about social listening. So here they are saying the core of our CRM work is a conversation with our users about music. The conversational workflows were never good for your core CRM workflows. They were good at sales transactions. They were not necessarily good at the conversational workflows. And this is the new category. You had a lot of legacy systems that were used for these workflows, but they were never part of the core CRM bucket. So this is not the CRM. This is everything else around CRM. So that's what they have replaced here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll open up for comments.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, they've only been in business 10 years and they're already exceeding $1 billion, which is like crazy. I mean, their marketing has been so phenomenal. I mean, you see them on TV all the time.
Yeah.
They're widespread, and obviously their target market is pretty much everyone.
Yeah. But this is the private equity money. This is where they are pouring. They're very smart.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But their target market seems to be pretty much anyone. Is that fair?
Any siloed departments, I would say.
Any siloed department, yeah.
Any siloed department, yeah.
So they've done an amazing job, and I they're still doing great.
Yeah, it's a very similar business model as Microsoft, Google in selling the suite. Even Zoho is trying to do the same, but product is different.
Right, they're completely different.
Yeah.
Do we know the price point of Monday?
It gets fairly expensive.
I think it does.
So you are going to start at like $7-10, but there are a lot of limitations that most users don't know how to read them. So if you look at the total cost per year, it becomes fairly expensive. Right now, companies are not necessarily monitoring because this is going through your departmental budget. But hopefully, one of these days, CFOs are going to monitor that as well. But right now, if you look at the total SaaS spend, in last 10 years, Andy, that has become the second highest category. That did not exist.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything else, Andy? More comments? No?
That would be...
Okay. Shrishta?
I think it is a very good tool to, manage your internal workflows. But then again, it's very necessary to properly understand the intent of the software. And it can definitely not replace any ERP or CRM. And that is something I feel that businesses should know about before they actually purchase it or go for it.
Yeah, could not agree more. Great comment. Any other follow-ups there?
No, that sounds like a wrap.
Okay, amazing, guys. So that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another vendor or the solution. On that note, thanks everyone for tuning in today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.